Hold on. It's telling me my internet is unstable. But I'm plugged in. Oh, I'm not plugged
there
in.
you go.
It was just resting in the Yeah, let's do this.
Nice doing the intro. Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to Bugs Need Heroes, the podcast about insect superpowers. Each episode, an artist and an entomologist team up to illustrate the inspiring abilities of insects by creating bug-themed superheroes. I'm Kelly.
And I'm
Producer
Amanda.
Derek and Zatz are here today. Before we get started creating this bug-inspired hero, what's bugging you, Amanda? A little flippy floppy.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if this counts as a bother me, but we're entering sweater weather. Sweater weather up here in the Pacific Northwest. We're at that magical time of year where you have to turn your heater on in the morning and then your AC on in the afternoon, and I don't like that. I don't like leaving my house with a sweater on, and then by the time I make it to my location, it's too hot.
Yeah, we're still at 80 degrees here in New Jersey, and I'm unhappy about it because I'm sweaty. I want sweater weather. Mm-hmm. I want to wear jeans. I can't even wear jeans yet. I'm still wearing shorts. I'm just too warm. It's unfun.
Yeah,
I'm tired of shorts and skirts.
It's confusing to dress the kids, especially because the kids can't change their own outfits if it gets too hot. And kids are not also great at vocalizing, hey, I feel hot, can I take off this sweater my mom put me in when it was 50 degrees when we left our house, and now it's 71 and I'm good,
little children. Poor kids.
That
was me. That was definitely me as a little kid.
Yeah, we went to a parade yesterday and it was cold when we left the house, so everyone's wearing long sleeves and long pants, and then by the time we were sitting at the parade, the sun was beating down on us, and even though it was only 68 degrees outside, it felt like it was 85 because the sun was just directly on us. But it was fun anyway, so it was all right.
That sounds like a good day. Yeah,
I like a parade. I love a parade. I am possibly in the minority in my family, though. But me and the youngest like the parade. My husband and my oldest were like, it's been a half hour. Yeah, we're ready to go. We're ready to leave. I've seen these cars drive by with people waving in them enough now.
I don't love a parade. I'm okay. I like that they exist, but I don't really want to have to look at them for longer than 20 minutes. Then I'm good.
There was I don't know what the group was or anything, but it was the most ponies I've ever seen in one location. Cute. The most below the waist ponies I've ever seen in one place.
I would love to see a bunch of ponies. That would be perfect.
15 ponies. I was like, where did they get all these ponies from? Because normally parade there's horses.
I prefer a pony,
but it was a lot of ponies. It was ponies.
Well, I had this week we had our Finn-iversary. It was the 6-year anniversary of adopting our little cat Finn, and on Joe's calendar it just says little cat anniversary because we hadn't named him yet when he put it on the calendar.
That's so sweet.
So
you got him as a senior pet already?
He is.
If he's 15 now,
that's Finn. He's 6. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I had.
He's like 6.5. We got him at like 5 months or whatever. Darcy's 15.
Right, that makes sense.
Is geriatric.
Yes. Okay. So no, you got Finn as just a little spot.
Yeah. That's on my Instagram if anyone wants to look at many photos of baby Finn.
Just perhaps
soak
too
him
many
up.
photos.
He's adorable. And today, actually, after I'm done recording, I have to go to one of our local parks here in my city, and I'll be speaking at a Leave the Leaves event.
Leave
them
leaves.
leaves alone, everybody. So that insects need leaves and leaf litter for shelter to overwinter in. It's also good for your garden to leave the leaves over winter as well. And so I'll be there at a park with a local gardening community, just talking to folks if they have questions and that kind of thing. It's fun. It's fun being a scientist, Amanda.
Excellent.
I get to talk to people. It's a good time.
Do you have to leave all the leaves, or can you get rid of some
You can leave
of the leaves?
even if you just want to leave a small corner in
a
your yard.
corner.
I get you don't want leaves all over your entire yard, but if you like, you know, some butterflies overwinter as adults in the leaves, sometimes as
Mm.
cocoons or beetles. You got wolf spiders in them leaves. There's all kinds of stuff hanging out there through the
I
fall. And
I
fireflies, of
had a bit
course, as
of
well.
I had a bit of foliage that had like fallen over. So I was like, oh well, I'll just rake this up because it's like rotting or whatever. And then I uncovered it, and then I'd uncovered an anthill that had been using it as shelter, and I just kind of scooped it back into place.
Oops,
I was
sorry,
like, okay,
guys.
I
Sorry
guess I
about
won't
that.
be cleaning. Oh, sorry, guys. That's my bad. That's my bad. I'll just put that back.
Well, it was nice of you to put it back.
It was very
Yeah.
funny. I was like,
Yeah,
no,
that leaf
you guys
cushion
can
is
keep
going to
it.
keep them sheltered for the season. And yeah, just if you can leave a little part of your yard completely leaved, that would be fantastic. You know.
Yeah, one corner of my yard's all rose
Mm.
bushes, and so I don't really want to get in
Yeah,
there
that's probably
anyway
nice and
because
nice and
it's
funky
all it's
looking.
all
Yeah.
spiky anyway. So I'm like, you guys can have this. This is your spot. Please be here. And that's like right where I sent you a picture of a
Yeah,
katydid the other
yeah.
day.
Amanda sent me a
That's where the
good
katydid
Katie
was.
the other day. A big
A
old good
a
Katie.
big one. It was
What
a
episode is our
big
katydid
katydid.
episode? Guys, check that out if you haven't listened to that one.
It went. I think it was a D&D character
Yes,
too. Maybe even a
she
Baldur's
was a
Gate
Baldur's
character
Gate 3
specifically.
druid, I believe. I
Yeah,
think we made
I
her a
think
druid.
so.
So
Yeah.
check out the Good Katie episode. That was fun. As listeners may be a little confused today because I did the
Yes, we've
intro,
swapped.
that means hold on to your butts. It's an Amanda episode today.
It's an Amanda episode. I hesitate to call it even an art history episode though, because I actually don't end up talking about a lot of art in my notes. Just about like the
It's okay.
roads that have
What is the
traveled.
topic for today's episode?
The topic is
Ooh.
silkworms and their silk, and the influence it's had on this world. But before we talk about the silk I'm going to talk about, as a spider lover,
Mhm.
Kelly, what do you know about silk?
Silk in general?
Silk in general, and then maybe specifically about spider silk. Well, we're going to get spider silk out of the way
Very
because there is a character named
different.
Silk.
Yeah, this is.
But she's one of the dozen or so spider people that's running around New
Did
York
we
at any
talk
given
about
time.
Silk for the
I think we
one
talked
of
about
the
her a little bit
episodes?
in one of the spider
Yeah.
conglomerate episodes. I think the one where we made you a hero
Oh yes,
Sona,
my
as it
spider
were.
Sona.
Yes, your spider Sona. And she's got a killer
Oh yeah,
outfit. She
she looks
looks
cool.
awesome, but her name's Silk because she's a spider, which
There are
I
several different
after
types of silk spiders produce. Sometimes it's sticky to trap insects. Other times it's like a balloon silk for babies to fly away. Males make a special kind of silk to create a sperm packet for mating purposes. Females will make a different kind of silk to wrap their eggs up in. So I think I think it's 8 or 9 types of silk for
yeah, I
spiders.
think it's. I wanted to say it was
Something like
8,
that.
just based on my
Yeah.
memory of. So it's a lot of kinds of silk. So why don't you think, knowing that like silk is so useful, spider silk specifically is so
It's
strong, why
very
do you
high
think we
tensile
don't
strength.
harvest? Why don't we harvest spider
Well,
silk?
because you
Why do
would
you
need
think?
like a million tiny individual cups to keep your spiders in because they would all eat each other.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest problem. When I was like, why don't we harvest spiders? Is like they just will fight each other and eat
We do
each
have
other. So
colonial
you have to.
species of spider that are web creators and they live
Mhm.
together. But I don't. I'm assuming there's also something about the texture of spider silk that doesn't quite work for our needs.
Yeah, there's too many
Okay.
kinds. How do you convince
Oh, to
the
make the one
spider to make the
kind?
kind
Yeah.
you specifically want? Yeah, and they tend to eat their web
Mm.
afterwards. They kind of like need
There's
it
a lot of
as part
protein
of
in that
their.
web.
Yeah, as part of their side. They're like, okay, this one's done. I'm gonna eat it and start again. That's not great if you're trying to collect the silk from them, because like you're you're gonna deplete the
Yeah.
resources available to
This
your thing that's making the
for
thing
our
you want.
Star Wars fans on Gorman, where they were creating all this beautiful silk out of these space spiders. Yeah, just not gonna work here.
It's just not. It's just not
Justice for
gonna
the
work.
people of Gorman, by the
And
way. Don't. It was a rough episode.
and then webs also just like take up a lot of room, you know. So there's just like it's just not very practical in comparison to the silkworm,
Who is she?
is kind of the opposite of all. Who is she? Who is she? So let's start by talking about what is silk. Silk is natural protein fiber, and whatever it comes out of, it's called silk. If you look up the types of animals that make silk, it's mostly guys that we would cover on this podcast. Spiders and insects have really cornered the market on making silk. Confusingly, carp shows up on the list of animals that make silk.
Interesting.
I guess. So, but mostly it's going to be the kinds of things that we talk about. Gooey on the inside, crunchy on the outside. So we've talked about spiders, but the silkworm is the Bombyx mori, is the one that we've domesticated, commonly known as the domestic silk moth. It belongs to the family. I'm so sorry if I butcher these names, Kelly. The Bombycidae.
Bombycidae, yeah.
Yes. Little guy. Silkworm we domesticated and use on silk farms pretty much since time immemorial. We've pretty much, if you count humans as a whole species, we've pretty much had these guys for forever. Of course, worm is a misnomer. We call it silkworm, but it's really a caterpillar to a moth. And we use this moth for a variety of reasons, but the main one is that it produces, we've convinced it to produce white silk rather than a brown silk that it would use to, hide. You think about a cocoon. Yeah. It's usually like brown and leafy. Leave the leaves. It wants to be in those leaves.
So we changed the silk color.
So we convinced it, hey, make a white one, please. And, because obviously being brown is better if you try not to get eaten. And white, there's very few places on Earth where white is the color to be if you're trying to hide from other things. Yeah. So
where did domestication originate? Do you know?
Oh, so it happened in China. So we're going to talk about China a lot today because China really has a firm grip on silk. But it prefers to eat the white mulberry, which is a Asian tree. It's native to Asia. Of course, now it's all over the world because
of us.
As you're going to see, the silkworm. Yes. She travels far and wide. So it's native to Asia. It can now be found all over the world. The eggs take about 14 days to hatch. It has 5 instars.
Nice.
I've learned all these buggy words for you, Kelly.
Gold star Amanda already for vocabulary. A+.
They are not very unique looking caterpillars.
What color are they?
They are pretty much they're kind of a gray white color.
Boring. Yeah.
I'd say they're like birch colored. I mean, they're on the white mulberry, so
makes sense.
They're trying to blend in with the white of the mulberry. They are not. There's that fancy word for when they only eat one food item. They technically don't qualify because they will eat other things, but they have like a strong preference to the mulberry. So we pretty much only feed them mulberry in farm situations because that's what they like. That's what they crave. So they're little guys. They start off weensy, but they grow to be about 3 inches.
That's big. It's a big caterpillar.
Big for a caterpillar, right? Pretty chonky. And one of the big advantages is that they'll live all in a group together. We said the spiders had to all be in their individual
tiny
cups.
Yeah.
The worms have, they don't do it in the wild. They aren't gregarious in the wild, but they don't seem to mind being stacked on top of each other as long as there's enough food for everybody. So you put a big pile of leaves in the middle and they're all like, hey, that's cool. All right, let's check this out. So after 4 instars, they start to turn a little bit yellow, and that's how you know they're about to start making silk.
Okay.
So they start to make silk from their salivary glands. Yeah. Isn't that weird? I feel like that's a weird place to make silk.
Not from the abdomen.
No, exact opposite of the spider. The spider's the other end. The silkworms use in the mouth, and it kind of does like a little bit of a typewriter motion. It's like bleh,
oh, neat,
bleh,
like a little back and
bleh,
forth.
Bleh. And it winds itself up in a single strand of silk until it has the cocoon. This is important that it's a single strand of silk. and it wraps itself inside, and then it does its final instar inside the cocoon, becomes the pupa inside of. I'd say it looks kind of like a snake egg, but made of a single piece of silk wrapped around.
And you said we make that silk white. Do you know how we force them to do that, or?
I think they just it's one of those Mendelian processes where they just kept
okay, all right, there. So they bred them.
they had a.
I wasn't sure if it was like an
lighter and lighter and lighter
something. Okay.
No. It was a selected trait thing. Yes, selected trait where they said this one's making a lighter one. Let's do that again and again and again. But like I said, there's not a lot of history on this because it's so old that there's not really clear history of a time before we were using silkworms to make silk. So another reason we use the silkworm is that it has a unique quality to its silk that when it comes out of its little mouth there, it's triangular in shape as opposed to either flat or round like spaghetti. Yeah. Think about spaghetti or fettuccine. It comes out triangular. And that way it catches light from any direction that you look at the silk.
Oh, interesting. And that's why silk is shiny, I guess.
And that's why silk is shiny. And you get that like hair commercial, like, I'm your bean. You know, that whole thing conditioned. Is because, yes, it's because this worm makes triangular shapes.
That's really cool. I had no idea. I know nothing about silkworms, so I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this episode, Amanda.
So how long do you think a single strand of the silk it's using? Remember, it uses a single strand to make the whole
wrap
cocoon.
A 3-inch caterpillar.
Yeah, the eggs are probably only about 1.5 inches because they get all compressed in there. Yeah.
About, let's say it wraps itself maybe 100 times, 100 inches. I don't know what that maths out to in feet. You tell me.
It is 900 to 1,200 meters.
Oh, that's so much silk.
3/4 of a mile, one strand from one little guy. That is crazy. It's anywhere between 1,000 and 3,000 feet long.
Yeah, my guess was somewhere around 2.5 meters, so I was way off. Holy cow.
I mean, you wouldn't think it'd take that much, but they really wrap the heck out of themselves. They're really wrapping until they make their little sleeping bag that they can stay in and turn into a moth.
How long does it take for them to make the cocoon?
From the things I saw, about a day.
So fast. It's pretty fast for that amount of silk.
Yeah, jeez. They're just. I told you they're just typewriting like crazy. Blah 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 blah. And we'll talk a little bit more about like the shapes that they are willing to make with their silk. So if they make it to adulthood, because a certain amount don't, the moth is only about 1 or 2 inches and a nice creamy white color. And I gotta say, it's one of the cutest moths I've ever seen. It is a real cute little fuzzy guy. They do fall into the category of adults who don't eat.
It's really cute.
It's very cute, right? It's a teddy bear moth. It's so adorable.
Fuzzy. Oh my god.
It's so
we
fuzzy.
Will have to find photos to put up. Or listener, feel free to like pause and Google, but this is really adorable.
Yeah, feel free to pause and Google. It's a cute little fella. So they don't eat, unfortunately, so they only last about 2 weeks. And the domesticated ones, as is often the case, they don't really fly. They don't really do much. And if you're on a silk moth farm, you're going to have to help the males find the females by carrying them over and introducing them. Which is very funny
to make little moth introductions.
Yes, because we've bred them so big and fat so that they'll make more silk.
Ben, this is Sally.
And that carries over.
Like each other.
We've been checking out your guys' profiles, and we think you guys would really get along.
That's so sad.
So they won't. They're domesticated. you could not like raid a silk moth farm and set them free, because they would just kind of wiggle around and do nothing. because we've also like bred any like human fear out of them. At this point, they're like pretty tolerant of being handled and all those things. So they're cows now.
Little moth cows. They're so cute.
Little moth cows. So the whole thing from egg to adult takes about 50 days. Okay. Anywhere between like 42 and 58. They're a 2-month moth, sometimes 3-month moth. And there's like 3 different kinds, and some will only make, 1 round, but like the ones that we've convinced will do it 8 times in a year.
Oh wow, that's a lot. That's like really a lot for an insect. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're cooking. They're doing their moth thing with no regard to the natural cycles of this world.
Good time. Good for us. We did this. Yeah.
We did this. We've done this to them. So, like I said, when did we start keeping them? It's called sericulture, in case you're wondering up to this point. What is it when you keep silk moths? It's sericulture.
That's cool.
Which is a combination of the Latin word for silk and culture, meaning to raise. We think it started in China during the Neolithic period, or the New Stone Age, which is really roughly ancient. Like 5,000 years ago is when we start finding things. So that means we've been making silk longer than we've had horizontal wheels, or vertical wheels. I mean, like, we didn't have carts, but we had silk, which is like kind of crazy to think about.
Wow, that's unexpected. That's very unexpected.
And I think that's pretty wild that we were like, I'm going to make something out of this, before we figured out, hey, what if I turned this flat rock on its side and it rolled away from me, So the farming practice is predominantly run by women, which I think is a very fancy thing when any labor is performed majority by women. I think that's really cool. And the legend is that silk was discovered by the Empress of China. This is the myth, right? Lei Zhu, the wife of the Yellow Emperor, was drinking her tea under a tree when a silk cocoon fell from the tree into her tea. And the hot tea, we'll learn more about this when we talk about how to process silk. She was able to pick out one strand and start to unwrap this little cocoon, and found that the silk moth was inside. And that's how she discovered how silk was being made. So she ran out of silk, found the small larva, and in an instant she realized this caterpillar larva was the source of the silk. And from there, pow, silk everywhere. They follow the moth into production of this luxury good. In another Vietnamese tale, a woman's soul is transferred into the silkworm because she wants to help others.
Very sweet. I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like silkwormy sort of, how do we figure it out? Because there's not really any proper historical record. So silk production stays in China only until the Silk Road. Have you heard the phrase Silk Road before?
I have, but I don't know anything about the timing of the Silk Road.
Oh, that's fair enough. So Silk Road is going to be probably about half a millennium BCE. Okay. Marco Polo, if you remember that name, he's famous for going on this
famous
Silk Road
for children's pool games. Yes, Marco Polo.
Yes. Little did you know, all this time you were playing pool games that originate in the worm. So the story goes that the Romans are trying to spread their empire from the middle of the world off Eurasia more east, and they're trying to spread their mighty empire, and they are defeated by the answering Asian forces. But during the battle, they witness the silk banners flapping in the breeze, and a bunch of the soldiers leave because they're too intimidated by the flapping of this beautiful silk. But the Romans decide that they have to get their hands on this material.
Yeah,
whatever that
is. Cool.
We need it. And so rather than continue to bang at the door of war, they open up the Silk Road and say, we'll trade with you if you'll give us this material, whatever it is. And so the Silk Road is established. That's the
Okay.
legend of the Silk Road, at least. So even though they've now opened up trade routes now, and I really can't overstate the power of the Silk Road. I really can't overstate how influential on the world this is, because this is Europe and Africa and the Far East all being able to commingle cultures together along this road. And the main thing on this road is this silk. That's why it's called the Silk Road. So China maintained its virtual monopoly on silk production for like 3 millennia. Like, they've got it. It's theirs. We've talked about this a little bit with cochineal bugs and with the purple color, right? The Tyrian purple. That, like, these bug-created items become so secret. They keep them so close to the vest here on, like, no one else can know how we do this. No one else can know about it. No one can know how we get this red dye. No one can know how we get this purple dye. And now, following along with that, no one can know where this silk comes from. The rumor is that it's from trees. They think it's like...
Oh, interesting.
Like a cotton.
Interesting.
And China's like happy to like let that rumor fly. That it's a type of tree. So... along the Silk Road, ideas, technologies, cultures, even diseases travel along this road and start to shape the world in a way that, like, again, I cannot overstate. But the quality good on this road is silk. You know how we use the word salary? Like, he's worth his salt. Mm-hmm. Salary, it comes from the word for salt. And, like, if something is worth its weight in gold, that means it's really valuable. We've since lost this phrase, but the phrase at the time was worth your weight in silk rather than gold or salt. Okay.
That's
how that was like the 3 things people traded for. The 3 things you needed were salt, gold, and silk. And you can kind of track where those 3 things come from on this road that goes through the 3 continents. It's really
cool.
So it's also worth noting. I just talked about Tyrian purple. So you got silk, which only like the uppers of the uppers can wear because it's expensive and fancy, especially if you don't live in China. In China, you weren't allowed to wear it unless you were in the royal family. And then the purple color is also only allowed within like the elite. So if you had a purple silk robe,
so rich,
you were like you're the fanciest guy on the planet. Basically, I feel like only the Roman emperor wore these fancy silk purple colors. Like the flex, the ultimate flex. I'm Julius Caesar.
Look at
I'm
all
in my purple silk.
Yeah.
So the Silk Road stays open for about 1,500 years until the Ottoman Empire is like, we're done with that. And ironically, that starts off like a whole nother like age of enlightenment because people are like, crap, we've lost our road. We got to get in the boats. We got to get around. We got to go. We got to get there. And so everyone getting in boats and sailing the world is because they closed the Silk Road.
Oh, wow. Huh. So that really like pushed people to do, boat navigation. That's interesting. Yeah.
So a lot of discoveries of like islands and stuff come like as a direct result of people trying to get around the world. Does that sound familiar? I'm trying to get around the world to India. Yeah. There was a whole other continent in the way. So it's pretty interesting. So evidence of silk is found all over the place. Post Silk Road, right? It's in tombs. It's in Egypt. It's in the Bible. It's in economic ledgers of like, this person owes me so many bolts of silk, right? At one point, Rome tried to ban the gauzy silken robes that women were wearing because it was deemed indecent. What? That it did not obscure their form. That they could see
you could see too many curves.
yes, the voluptuous form beneath, which is like real rich coming from the Romans, who like just freaking loved to make naked statues of any dude.
And women. There's lots of like nude women statues in Rome as well.
Venus is like often nude. It's just very funny. It's just very funny.
I think we also often think of Rome as being pretty sexually free, like, and kind of, like open, but it really
went up and down. There was moments where it was indecent to be seen wearing silk. And
we have to think about the time frame of the Roman Empire, right? We're talking very coincides very long time period. Yeah. So culture shifts.
Yeah. And at one point, silk was deemed too decadent. It's to be considered moral. Like if you had silk, you were showing off your wealth too much. You were so fancy emperor, that it became a sin. Unless you're the emperor wearing your well,
maybe the Senate. Yeah.
Rules for thee and not for me. So here's the problem if you're China, right? You've got this superpower of an item that other people want, and you're spreading the rumor that it's made from trees and stuff. But it's gonna get out eventually. Eventually, someone is gonna find out that it's the worms, right? And there's all these legends of people both discovering that it's the worms and trying to get the worms. There's like stories of people sending emissaries of like disguised as monks. I mean, like, you gotta get in there and you gotta get the worms. And they like try to hide them in their books, try to hide them in their scrolls, try to hide them in bamboo sticks, just trying to steal the worms. There's a famous one of like a Chinese princess who like hides the silkworms in her hair on her wedding day, so that she can smuggle the worms to her new kingdom.
That's fun. That's very.
There's
fun.
A lot of those sorts of stories of like, I gotta get the worms. And eventually, the other countries do start to figure out how to make silk. Specifically, the French and the Italians become very good at it. What time period
is this?
So this is going to be by like the 13th century, so like the 1200s. Italy's got silk, and they're doing real well with it. And then France is a little bit later than that, probably like the 15th century. And then, interestingly, England tries to get in on it. But, so there's a letter in which King James, in like 1607, in which he starts telling members of the royal court, all the nobility, hey, plant mulberry trees on your properties. We're trying to get a silk thing going. Okay. Right? And so he mandates that 10,000 mulberry trees have to be planted throughout England to get the silk industry going, to compete with France and Italy. The problem is that all the English courtiers planted black mulberries.
Oh, and they want the white ones.
They want the white Asian mulberry trees. So it never really took off. He tries again, James tries again in the Americas, in Virginia, and plants a bunch of white mulberries now. But it just like never really took off.
When did America start to give up? When did we start to make our own silk? Do you know?
We don't much, Stephen, to this day. We there's like it technically exists, but it's not like the industry the way that you see in like France. Like Italian silk means something, French silk means something, but there's not a lot of weight around the idea of American silk the way there is French and Italy. Also, I think it's important to note that like a lot of America's history is post-industrial revolution, which we'll talk about in a minute here about what that does to silk production. And so there's just probably not a lot of...
I'm curious. I have lots of questions.
So it doesn't take off in England, but part of that is also probably because it's too cold in England. Yeah. It's like cold and rainy and wet, and the caterpillars don't like it. So, and I think you'll find that probably is true in a lot of American places as well. Yeah. So France and Italy are the ones who figure out how to really do it. So, do you know anything about how we get the silk from
zero.
Because I'm about to bum you out a little bit. Then I'm sorry. It's not good for
I'll clutch my pearls. I'm ready.
Your pearls be clutched. So, as you know, it makes one strand in this cocoon. Unfortunately, because it's all one big strand, if the caterpillar emerges as a moth, if the moth comes out, he has to chew his way out, which cuts a bunch of the fibers.
And that's no bueno.
In half.
For...
And I'm trying to get as long a strand as possible. I'm trying to make silk. So, unfortunately, the common way to harvest the silk is to take the cocoons and dump them in a vat of boiling water.
Oh.
Yeah, which kills the moth inside, obviously, and also softens the strands enough that it unravels.
That for the caterpillar.
Quite easily.
That must be so painful. Imagine being boiled. Ooh.
It's
poor guys.
It's not good, and it takes 3,000 cocoons per pound of usable
3,000 for a pound? Ooh.
Yeah, it's it's not good for the worms. Obviously, because the insects do not survive, silk is not considered vegan or cruelty free.
Yeah, I would say so.
Not good. So there is a lot of pushback against the silk industry about letting the moth emerge and just like figuring out how to deal with the silk being cut in half or whatever. So this is called peace silk or ahimsa silk, with the tenets of like Buddhism and Hinduism and peace and thou shalt not kill.
There are some places that do let them emerge.
So if you are interested in making sure that your silk is not killing worms, caterpillars, you need to look for ahimsa or peace silk.
I did not know that was an option.
Which allows the moth to emerge. But if I'm honest, and I'm going to get flack for this, and I'm sorry about that. We talked about that it's a domesticated moth, and it can't really thrive on its own anyway. Like, they don't eat. And so it feels, for me, it feels like a little bit of a moot point to let him, like, I mean, good that you didn't kill him. I don't want to make it sound like I think we should just be murdering them all over town.
It is an interesting moral conundrum. Do we kill them quickly?
It's morally dicey.
Boiling water, which is probably not great. Or do we allow them to slowly starve to death as adults over the span of like 2 weeks, probably?
And like not able to fly. Not able, like, just kind of, because they're too big and fat. So they're just kind of like...
Definitely something the listeners will have to have a personal choice on with that.
Would you feel better about it to know that the boiled silkworms are often eaten?
I would feel much better about it, because then we're using the whole animal, essentially.
The whole animal.
And to me, something about starving to death for 2 weeks sounds worse than... That's just my personal view that...
Yeah. So we've talked about it before, the byeondengi, which is the Korean dish of like boiled pupas. I think it literally just means pupa. That's
all silkworm. Okay.
That's silkworm pupa.
Any idea what they taste like? Have you read anything about it?
I've watched people eat them. I have not eaten them myself, although there is a restaurant here in Portland that offers them. I hope one day we get to do like a bug food episode. Yeah. To my understanding, they're crunchy, but they're not particularly flavorful on their own, and it's really the sauce they're just a vehicle for the sauce. That's my understanding.
I worry about the potential gooey inside, which I think would be a texture no for me. Yes, personally, I could do crunchy.
I think they are. I have heard them described as wet wheat, like with a crunchy outside and then like wet wheat inside.
You know what I would try it, because I will try anything once, but
you'll try anything once.
Probably would not revisit. I don't know, but I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Again, I've not eaten this myself, so if there's someone who can leave a comment that's like, actually it tastes like this,
please
or
write to us, leave a comment on
do.
Instagram or Reddit. We want to know what's going on with this,
and we will eat it eventually.
Yeah. Maybe next time I come to Portland, we could go to that place.
Yes, we'll do it. I'm sure there's one near you, just because
there might be, but I'd want to try it with you and producer Derek.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So it's not just Koreans. There are other places that make the silk, because like Japan makes silk, India makes silk. There's other places in
Chinese
Asia that
probably
make silk,
eat them as well, because they've been working with them for so long.
Yeah, it's the Korean dish is just the one I think that's the most in the public consciousness, like right now. So that's the one I mentioned. So once the thread is, or the single strand of silk is unraveled, it's then twisted with a couple other strands and then dyed into the vibrant popping colors that we associate with silk. Interestingly, this process of getting the silk from the silkworm is basically unchanged from all this time ago that we've been taking the silk from the worms. We've not really found a better way to do it.
Is it is it factory now? Is the process like factory, or is it still like hands, like human hands doing all the work?
So the technology around getting the thread has gotten, like how to make the thread into silk sooner, that's all improved. But as far as like the actual process of getting the silkworms to give you the silk, it seems to be pretty much a hand process. Wow. Like always. Like there's a writings about a machine in like 1000 CE Common Era, where they describe a machine that does the unspooling of the cocoons. Oh, okay. But as far as like hand rearing them and everything, it's just, there's not really a good way to automate it. It seems like it's still just, I mean, we talked about this with shellac too, where like it's just done by hand, right, just because there's not really a need to make it automated more. I think farming always kind of needs someone around. Yeah.
And this is farming. This is animal husbandry, and yeah.
So the technologies around how to get the silk into usable threads has improved, and especially the loom technology has really, really improved on how to like turn it from thread into something else, and we'll talk about that in a second. But like, as far as take worms, put them in boiling water. That's pretty much
step 1 and 2, not changed.
Yeah. And like, as silk becomes finer, that's not because we've improved the worms. That's because we've improved how we use the silk after the worms give it to us. So like, the worm silk's the same. It's been the same triangular, shiny, 1/4 or 3/4 of a mile piece of string this whole time. It's just us who get better at using it.
Interesting.
To make it have a higher thread count or a lower thread count. So what is the great advantage of silk? What do you think it is? I think it's the same for spiders, in my opinion.
It's probably tensile strength.
Is that it's so strong for how lightweight it is. So they use it in all kinds of things. Like, think of anything right now. Anything. It's probably made of silk.
It's got something in it. What's the most surprising thing you learned that's made from silk? Anything? Or interesting?
I feel like it was probably fairly common knowledge, but like, sutures in surgery is often silk. Especially because they can like coat the silk in like antibacterial like properties. And it doesn't like break down.
Silk does not trigger our immune systems. So that's why we can use it for medical
it's like another
stuff. Yeah.
It's reading about that, I was like, this is cool. This is really cool that we can do this. So it's used in fishing lines. It's used in mountaineering ropes. It's used in bows and arrows. It's used in parachutes. Actually, famously in World War II, you know, they said, hey, no one's allowed to have any silk because we need it for the parachutes. There was a very special club called the Caterpillar Club. And the qualifications for Caterpillar Club were very simple. Did a parachute save your life? And really? That's it. You get the little card. I think I put a picture. The producer Derek wants to put up. And it's a little like club membership card. And it's the club motto was, life depends on a silken thread.
Oh, that's cute.
And so you could get your little membership card.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It is very cool. Yeah, Derek's put it up.
A little Caterpillar Club. Yeah, isn't that funny? I don't want to be a member of the Caterpillar Club, to be clear. I don't.
Well, I would like it to save my life, but yeah.
Well, yes. Okay. I guess what I mean is I don't want to be in a situation in which
where you could be a member. Yeah.
I want to be free of these dangers. But I thought that was really fun. And I thought it was cute that they were like, the Caterpillar Club. So, and there's like this really famous story of like, this bride. So parachutes are made of silk and nylon by the time you get to World War II. But, once you use a parachute once, you're like not allowed to use it again. So then you could use the silk for like bridal gowns and stuff. And there's this really famous story in the Smithsonian of a woman who made her bridal dress out of the parachute that saved her soon-to-be husband's life.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's on display in the Smithsonian. Unfortunately, that one's made of nylon, but it's such a cute story that I wanted to slip it in.
That's really sweet, though.
So, yeah, silk's used in all kinds of stuff, but, like, if we're being honest, it's mostly used for, like, fabric stuff. In fabric, its versatility is basically endless. It can be shiny. It can be matte. It'll keep you warm. It'll keep you cool. You can embroider on it. You can paint on it. You can use it as a paper so that your message doesn't melt when it gets wet. If you put silk in the paper, then your paper becomes tougher.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can kind of like the way like American dollars have
that feeling
fabric put in them. They're paper, but they're not really paper. You can do that with silk. It's used on wallpaper to create, brocades and damasks, and it's incredibly resilient. Like if you want it to be able to sit on it, you can make it for furniture. But if you also want sheer stockings, you can use it for sheer like basically anything you can think of, you can make out of silk. It's wild. I'm basically convinced that you could make anything out of silk.
Do you own any silk clothing, Amanda?
I don't, just because I'm not fancy though. And not because I'm like, I'm not on some sort of like moral high ground with silk. I just don't. Oh, I might have a scarf actually. Now that I say that, I might have a scarf because it was purchased from a Indian boutique shop, so it might be silk actually. Now
I have 2 silk scarves that my husband brought back for me from India. One is a beautiful like light blue color, and it's so shiny. Like the shininess is really cool. That's silk shine. So like silk was used as like playing cards in situations where you think you're going to get wet. You're like, I'll take my silk cards with me so that they don't just melt in my pocket. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was cool. And it's also the creator of the AI controversy. I'm going to show you a painting. Actually, I think it's an engraving. Derek, can you show the Jacquard portrait? Oh, okay.
Here we go. Okay. So, what do you think about this engraving of this guy? Jacquard.
I don't know. He's just, it's a guy in a chair.
What if I told you that wasn't an engraving? It was actually a tapestry made of silk.
Wow. That is...
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So this image is known as the most famous image in the early history of computing. It is this image that inspired Charles Babbage to create the analytical machine.
Really? This started it all, this?
Yes.
We'll have to put this on the Instagram, too. I'll make a note for when I do this.
So this was made by a computer, as such, in 1839. You had to order them special order of this guy. So this guy's name is Jacquard. I'm trying to remember what his first name is. I think it's James Marie, but I'll just call him Jacquard for now. So he is the inventor of what is called the Jacquard loom in the early 1800s. There was other looms before, but this guy's the guy that takes it to like the next level. He creates this punch card system in which every line in the tapestry can be dictated by a punch card on what color needs to come next, what, switch colors here, blah, blah, blah. And they still have some of these punch cards available, and they're huge punch cards with hundreds of information inputs, right? And so this
kind of automate the process.
So this, yes. So this particular, the one I'm showing you now, took 24,000 punched cards to create.
It really does look like an engraving. It's or kind of almost like a photo.
It really looks like it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like not a photo, but like a really fancy painting of the time.
Yes, it's incredible. So this one is from Lyon, France, which had a huge silk industry.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about French silk earlier. So the silk industry in Lyon alone employed over 30,000 people.
Wow.
which is like
Yeah,
25%
for that time
of
period.
the whole economy. So the weavers in Lyon had developed this strong culture and community around the idea of we're silk traders, right? I think they called themselves the Canuts. And then they had this guild system that controlled production and prices, you know, kept it fair
Yeah.
for everybody, kept themselves paid. But being such a large and powerful percentage of the populace, the silk makers started having political power, especially within the city of Lyon, but also in wider France in general. So by the late 1700s, early 1800s, you can guess how the powers that be feel about all these day laborers having this amount of influence on what's going on. I mean, this is
I
not the
assume they were
time.
unhappy.
Well, yeah. I mean, the turn of the century, 17 into 18, Napoleon's walking around. America has just become a free place. It's making the upper echelons nervous that so many people who are not fancy have power and influence. So the story goes that Jacquard introduces the loom onto the market, right? And then Napoleon, under the guise of wanting to increase economics in Lyon, places a huge order for French silk, and the loom gets all this business because they got to fill up these orders, right? Which like establishes the loom as how the silk is being made in the area, which of course makes everyone who's been making it by hand for thousands of years
Pretty pissed.
really upset. Yeah. So, according to the historian James H. Billington, the new machinery created an ever-widening gulf between the industrialist who owned the machine and the skilled workers who had previously enjoyed a certain independence within the guild system. So, I won't get into the back and forth of the economics of like, but safe to say within a generation, the protests against the machine had risen up into riots. The French love to riot. They love it. I don't blame them. I'm on their side. But they were scared the machine had come to take their jobs. All their skilled work was being
doesn't that
outputted
sound
into a machine.
familiar?
Interesting, isn't it? How the world goes around. So the rumor is, here's the rumor that I love. So I'm going to spread it because even though I know it's technically not true, I choose to believe it. The rumor is that the people would take their wooden shoes called sabots and they would throw them at the machines, which would break the machines. And that is where the word sabotage comes from.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
That is the rumor. I believe it's not.
I don't know why you'd throw your shoe in instead of just taking anything else and bashing it. But
that was, yeah.
Oh.
Listen, I just like that rumor enough that I'm going to continue to spread it.
Yeah.
It's sabotage. So this is a lot about silk itself, but I do want to give a shout out to the worm, because the worm is your favorite thing, a model organism.
Oh, I love a model organism.
I'll be honest with you, I was looking up a lot of the things that they use silkworms for model organisms, and it goes right over my little baby head.
Well, can you give a couple examples that you do get?
So the one that kept coming up, so they published its whole genome in 2008. We've had its genome for like a hot minute here. But the one that kept coming up is that you can use the silkworm as a model for human antimicrobial drug screening, as opposed to a larger mammal.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
You can use the worms. And so you could use a silkworm to study antimicrobial drugs, and demonstrated that silkworms could replace mammals for bacterial pathology experiments.
Yeah, sometimes we have parts that are close enough and...
yeah, again, I was looking at it and it says like all this stuff about how like whole sections of the worm are like repeatable and like you could mess with it pretty easily. And obviously all the things we talked about with fruit flies that like they breed very quickly and you can the Mendel effect takes place very, very fast. You can find out what great grandpa was up to within like 6 months or whatever.
Very important for model organisms to be fast reproducers.
Also, you can order silkworms into your classroom.
Oh, fun.
And watch their life cycle the way that like some classes do, like butterflies. You can do it with silkworms
that's cool.
too. So thought that was really nice.
But maybe not dump them in the boiling water and
maybe you skip that part for the children. And you just let them be little fat guys and you go, wow, we did it. And then you take that fat guy home as the teacher and you don't watch him while away the hours until he's not a moth anymore.
Yeah, put him in the freezer. Call it a day. Yeah.
Call it a day. So silk is also being used in new ways all the time. I use it for crochet sometimes. I'm not very fancy, so I mostly use acrylic yarn. But, knitting, crochet, tapestry, all that stuff is silk. Obviously, like, kimonos are silk. All, like, the cultural dresses of so many Eastern countries are silk.
Beautiful stuff.
Saris.
You can get a nice robe.
Anything.
A nice silk robe.
Robes. The little charms, if you've watched K-pop Demon Hunters, the little charms that they give each other to, like, show their love, those are usually traditionally made of silk. Like, it's just everywhere. I really feel like I can't overstate that silk is around you, and it's in happening.
Surprising places, it sounds like, too.
Yes. And it's crazy. And you can make anything. You can make anything out of silk. And we're sending it to space. It can withstand the vacuum and cold conditions of space better than fabric.
Really?
So we're sending it to space
cool.
now.
How do you feel about the silkworm, Amanda? After doing all the research,
I love the silkworm. I think it's great. I just feel like I was surprised. I thought when you said, "Hey, let's do a silk episode," I thought I would be talking a lot about like individual paintings or individual tapestries that were made of silk. And I really found that I wanted to talk more about like how silk has been influencing culture.
It's pretty incredible
because it's just everywhere. I did include a couple of things where I wanted to show you some, like, how far can we push silk. Let me just pop those into the Discord. But like, it's so versatile, both as a artistic medium and like a useful tool for other stuff.
The tapestries are really beautiful.
Get your life,
like, really beautiful.
You could get your life saved by surgery and then go look at some beautiful blankets made of silk. Like the tapestries on the wall that we think of with like hand woven stuff, like those served a purpose still, because the silk was hardy enough to last hanging on the wall, but also dense enough that it kept your house warm. And that was the whole point of it, was that you put it up on your big stone wall, because your big stone wall is going to be cold. And then you put essentially a blanket on it.
I think it also speaks to the longevity of silk, that we still have these tapestries from the medieval and Renaissance periods, right?
Yeah. Short of getting eaten by a different moth, it usually sticks around because it can get wet and not dissolve.
Moth on moth violence.
The way that, like,
ruining our tapestries.
Yeah. I mean, like, fabric is somewhat infamous in archaeology for not lasting, just because if it gets put in any sort of conditions where it's not being taken care of, it does tend to biologically degrade, just because it's a biological thing. But silk is one of the ones that we'll find mummies wrapped in silk. There's a famous Siberian mummy. There's a Siberian mummy who was buried with like a large swash of silk. Shoes, all these sorts of things that had silk as part of them last, because unless they get eaten, and if they stay cold, and they'll last. Whereas cotton dissolves pretty much while you're wearing it. It's gone.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Cotton. This is fascinating, Amanda. I love an Amanda episode because I love to learn, and you're very entertaining to listen to, Amanda. So you're an excellent storyteller. I think I like these guys. They're pretty cool.
I think they're really cool, and I think especially coming from such an innocuous little guy. He's just a 3-foot gray worm. Meanwhile, he's been, the creator of culture the world over. Between like the cochineal bug, the Tyrian purple, and now the silk, like, truly. And I think it also is interesting that we it's easy to say, fashion, how frivolous, right? Fashion is just this useless extra thing that humans do. But look at how fashion, the desire for this silk, changed the world over and over and over again. Between like a French court needing to get on the Silk Road so it could go to China, so that Marco Polo could write his stories, so that the King of England could send trees to America because he wanted silk. Like, it's
really
crazy.
Set off a chain reaction of all kinds of historical, important things. Producer Derek just sent us a link to the Oregon silk place where you can buy silk moths there to feed to your reptiles. Yeah. So they're also food for other things.
Yes, both for the lizard and for us. So they're cool. I think they're really neat. I think they're one of those, if you think of life as a pyramid, they're on the bottom of that pyramid, but that doesn't mean that they're a lowly creature. It means they're so fundamental to the ways of life that they have formed a foundation for us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to these little guys and what we put them through.
I think if we were to make a hero of them, which I didn't because I was talking, I think they'd have to be some sort of creation mythos, and I didn't manage to look up before. I'm sure there is, because there's like spider mythos and stuff with like anything that weaves. I feel like they get a creation mythos at some point. But I think of our bug universe, if we're talking about, because like, not to bring it back to Spider-Man, but Spider-Man has like the like weird Marvel Spider-Verse thing where like all spider heroes are connected. I think you could do that with the silkworm in our pocket BugsNeedHeroes universe, where like the creation mythos comes back to this silkworm weaving the tapestry of reality.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think that's very cool.
Yeah, you gotta write a comic. You gotta make a comic.
Call out to anyone who hears this and wants to draw one. Go ahead and draw one and drop it to us.
Send us your silk moth heroes. That'd be awesome.
Yes, send us your silk moth heroes. It doesn't have to be the idea I came up with. If you have your own ideas for silk moth hero, please let us know. Producer Ped, I know you listen to these art history episodes and always have a lot of ideas. This is your chance.
Friend of the pod, Dr. Ped.
Friend of the pod, Dr. Ped. So you have any other questions about silk before we shut it down?
I don't think so. How many legs? How many legs out of 6 for our friend the silkworm?
6 out of 6. 100 out of 6 if I could. I think they're really cool. And so cute when they're in their moth
everyone needs
form.
to Google the
So
moth form.
cute.
It is way too cute. I think I'll also give it a 6
like
out of
when
6.
we started this podcast, I didn't think I'd be the kind of person to be like, look how cute this moth is. But like, here I am.
You've come so far, Amanda.
Here I am.
You've come so far.
Look at this puppy dog insect.
That's what the pod is for, changing hearts and minds, getting people comfortable with the usual.
Oh, I did have one thing I wanted to say. So art, historically, we think of like these tapestries that I've shown you and stuff, but the silk moth is still being used to make different kinds of art. In 2013, an artist used like 3,000 silkworms. So a silkworm traditionally makes this little cocoon, right? But if you build a like structure for it to build its silk on, it will. So you can, if you 3D print or whatever it is, these little designs, the silkworm, I should say, will like fill in with its silk in interesting ways. And so if you do enough experiments, you can figure out how to build it. And in the Discord, I can share a picture of a like, they called it the pavilion. And it was made all of like 6,500 silkworms being convinced to fill in this structure. I'm going to send it quickly to.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Okay.
That's really cool looking.
So I wanted to include this to say that like we can think of the traditional ways that silk has been used throughout time, but like we're still finding new ways to make interesting art and science out of silk.
That's cool. Yeah, we'll try to remember. I'll try to remember to share that when I put all the social media up for this. Very cool.
So it's not just this old dead art where like this is how you do it. It's still evolving to this day. And like I said, we're sending it to space.
That's the best part about art is it's always changing.
Yeah. You don't just have to use it these traditional ways. You can find new, interesting ways to use it. So, 10 out of 10, 100 legs to the silkworm. May he not be boiled alive. So sad. If you have an idea for a silkworm hero, please share it to us on the Reddit. You can find us on the Reddit or the Instagram or the Blue Sky or the Facebook or anywhere where social medias are. And we love to hear from you.
You can also email us. We love email. We read them all.
At BugsNeedHeroes@gmail.com. We're not always great about answering them on time, but we do read them as they come in. Other than that, love you, bye. Bugs Need Heroes was created by Derek Conrad and Kelly Zimmerman. Hosted by Amanda Niday and Kelly Zimmerman. Bugs Need Heroes is produced and edited by Derek Conrad, with some assistance from Chelsea Bodden and a few cats. Character art is by Amanda Niday. Our music is Ladybug Castle by Roll Music. Got a bug question? Email us at bugsneedheroes@gmail.com. Check us out at bugsneedheroes.com, and most of the socials are under Bugs Need Heroes. Thanks for stopping by.
I see you, Zots.
I think Zots is just too big.
I see you, Zots, down there, big
He's
boy.
too big. He's a big boy.
He's a biggin. What a cutie. What a bad boy, but a cute boy.
He's a bad boy. He rides a motorcycle.
He's got a leather jacket.